News starts right now.
I don't know how we're going to fix all. I don't know how we're going to rebuild. I don't know what we're going to do.
Helpless and frustrated, a Live Oak family figuring out how to move forward after floodwaters poured into their home. It's an issue near Shin Oak Drive that we've been covering since Thursday.
At least 9 homes there filled with water during last week's heavy rains. I saw them for myself last Thursday. As one neighbor told our Daniela Ibarra today, she is hoping for help and some answers.
I can't put it into words, honestly. I feel like I've lost everything. So I never dreamt of being in this situation like this, you know?
This pool of water filled Karen Holmes' bedroom and her home.
Yeah. I have 2 little Yorkies, and they are house trained. One of them got down on the floor, and I thought I heard some water, and I was like, no, that's crazy. If you look right down here, you could still see it was all the way up to here. In here, and it was just flooded all the way through.
Is this an area that's known to have flooding?
This area never floods, not even in the floods of '98.
Cleanup has taken days.
My birthday's Friday, so I had gift cards on Amazon that people had sent to me for my birthday, and instead of getting stuff for myself that I wanted, I bought a pressure washer machine. We've had to throw away a bunch of that stuff because it was already mildewing. The fence alone is over 10 grand. The water damage inside the house, the quote we got, was over 20. That's not counting my bed or my dresser or anything else that's ruined.
Insurance is not going to help at all.
No, there's no help.
The damage devastates her.
How am I going to replace all of that? I can't.
What do you think was responsible for the flood that, basically ruined your property?
All of that, construction. I know that if it wasn't for that building being here and for the city approving that building to happen, we wouldn't be in the position that we are. I don't know how we're going to fix all. I don't know how we're going to rebuild. I don't know what we're going to do.
Daniela Ibarra, KSAT 12 News.
This area is also right by I-35 and all the construction going on near 1604 at that interchange. In a statement, the city of Live Oak said that crews began to clear out streets and ditches after the storm. The city says it has communicated with impacted property owners. We also reached out to TxDOT. They did not respond for today's story, but last week they sent us a statement regarding the issues in the area saying, quote, there was a significant amount of rainfall in a short amount of time overnight and this morning. The I-35 construction project has not impacted or altered the existing drainage facilities near Shin Oak Drive. Our project team will look into this further, end quote. Here in San Antonio, 13 people died as a result of that flooding. It's left our community with so many questions. How did this happen? And what could be done to prevent it from happening again?
Yeah, the need for answers prompting San Antonio city manager to announce the city is launching an investigation of the deadly flooding, specifically at Loop 410 in Bidle Creek and at Leon Creek. In a statement sent to KSAT, Eric Walsh says the investigation will include an independent engineering analysis to, quote, understand the contributing factors and ensure we are guided by facts as we assess what occurred, end quote. He adds the city will share what that investigation reveals.
So as the city's investigation begins today, KSAT took some of our questions to the San Antonio River Authority, which does floodplain mappings and monitors flooding infrastructure. They say there are many creeks and low water crossings that can become problem areas depending on where it rains, which is why they have 28 dams in the region. Adding more dams and tunnels is too expensive right now without funding, so they instead rely on a low water crossing alert system, which they're constantly assessing and improving.
So there's a gauge out there, and it starts to show when the water's getting close to the road, it turns a different color and it sends alerts, and then when it's overtopping the road, it turns red.
The River Authority investigating this recent flooding, they will also compile a report with the city and the county. They said it's too soon to know whether or not construction in some of these northeast side areas exacerbated the flooding, but they say they will definitely be looking into that.
Happening later this week, a public vigil is planned to honor the people who were killed by the floodwaters. That vigil is set to take place Wednesday evening on the northwest side at a shopping center on Northwest Loop 410. It's scheduled for 8 o'clock and will be outside, and organizers say this vigil is open to everyone, offering a way for the community to come pay their respects. A lot of questions to be answered in the aftermath of all of that, but one people keep asking, how much more rain could be headed our way after the ground's just so soaked, Adam?
Well, it should be pretty quiet the next several days, and then rain chances return by Thursday, and only 20%, 20 to 30% chance daily from Thursday all the way through the weekend and even into the early part of next week. So some opportunities, some chances, but they remain on the low end. Today, the action was parts of East Texas, Louisiana, and then down deep South Texas, especially from North Padre Island southward through the National Seashore, all the way down toward McAllen as well. And that activity has fizzled out. That's some upper level support helping to generate those showers. Here's a bit of good news. Now, even just since last Tuesday, the aquifer is up 9.9 feet. And coming up in a few minutes, I'll give it a comparison from the past 25 days and how much the aquifer is up, along with a look at a shifting weather pattern and what that means for those rain chances in a bit.
All right, thank you, Adam. In June of 2017, Ron Nirenberg sworn in as mayor. On Wednesday, he'll hand the reins over to Mayor-elect Gina Ortiz-Jones.
City Hall reporter Garrett Berger brought Mayor Nirenberg to the top of the Tower of the Americas to look over and discuss the city that he has led for these past 8 years.
It took 2 terms as a councilman before Mayor Ron Nirenberg took aim at the city's top job. After he found himself, quote, increasingly at odds with then Mayor Ivy Taylor, he challenged and beat her in 2017.
Despite, rising to the highest levels of political authority in the city, I always stayed grounded in my city.
But it is a big city with some big problems. And for 8 years, they've been his to deal with. Affordable housing, mass transit, job training. Nirenberg says efforts to fix those are years-long commitments that won't end with his term.
So the greatest challenge is to keep people committed to that forward progress.
The middle of his tenure was defined by the COVID-19 pandemic. He and then Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff appeared on TV almost nightly, in his words, giving people access to information, as well as comfort and consistency.
So the greatest challenge is to keep people committed to that forward progress.
However, nearly 18% of San Antonians still live in poverty, with big differences depending on where you live. But Nirenberg says the city's been putting more money toward traditionally underserved areas, a practice he says will uplift those communities if the city stays committed.
2 things can be true at the same time. You can be not where you want to be, but you could also be moving in that direction. And that's where we are in San Antonio. We're not where we need to be, but we're moving in the right direction.
He will also be handing off a controversial proposal, the multi-billion-dollar sports and entertainment district known as Project Marvel, anchored in part by a new Spurs arena.
This is not 1995 in terms of building a Spurs arena. We're not putting this on the backs of San Antonio taxpayers the way it has been done all around this country for years and years. We're being much smarter and getting our community's goals accomplished at the same time. We're bringing the Spurs back down for local residents to see in the place, the urban core where people congregate to begin with.
His next political steps are unclear, but for now he's taking a part-time role as a professor at his alma mater, Trinity University.
I'm interested in continuing to make impact. I have no idea, or I don't know yet what that means for the future, but I don't think I'm done with public service.
Last one. You gonna miss it?
No, of course. I'll miss the people I get to work with every day. I'll miss having the ability to have direct impact on certain things, but look, I'm a big believer in term limits. There is a moment where you need to step away, provide for a fresh perspective and energy, and I think that moment is now, and I'm excited about the future for San Antonio.
Thanks for the time, Mayor.
Thanks, Garrett.
We have an extended version of that interview, along with the transcript of the whole thing on our website, so you can hear what Nirenberg says about his ready-to-work job training program, his advice for incoming Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones, and why he thinks the use of public money on that new Spurs arena makes sense.
And as the final days of Mayor Nirenberg's term wrap up, city staff preparing to officially swear in Mayor-elect Gina Ortiz-Jones into office. She will officially take the oath of office on Wednesday. The mayor-elect stopped by KSAT to share her excitement and her priorities for the city. You can scan the QR code on your screen to watch the full interview. We're going to be covering the swearing-in ceremony right here on KSAT and KSAT.com.
New at 6, a man surveying possible damage along a fence on the far south side stumbled upon a body. That discovery made about 10 o'clock this morning on Neal Road off of Applewhite Road. San Antonio police were called out to that property. Now detectives investigating this. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office is working to identify the person who was found. SAPD also investigating a deadly shooting west of downtown. This happened at a home on North Pinto Street near West Travis. Officers tell us a group of people were at a house when two men went outside. They started arguing. Police say the people inside then heard a gunshot and rushed outside to find one of the men wounded on the ground. That man was taken to a hospital where he later died. Investigators say the suspect drove off in a Jeep. So far, no word on any arrest, but police say those two men were related. Take a look at TransGuide out there right now. This is I-37 at South Cross. It's slow going, definitely stop and go, but no major problems on the various views of traffic around town.
And let's take a live look outside with live cam, and steamy Sunday turned into storms. How about a steamy Monday? Question mark. Adam Caskey has your answer coming up.
Texas is on standby to see if Governor Greg Abbott vetoes a bill that would ban THC by the end of the week. Coming up tonight in the Nightbeat, we're talking about the expansion of those who could possibly use it medically, who makes the cut and who doesn't.
New at 6, it is a familiar sight on North St. Mary's Street, but for some, it's not a welcome one.
No, construction is back, and as our Devin Karp shows us, it can have some unexpected side effects.
No, wait. That's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. And it all starts with a story about sidewalks.
Well, I think it's helped a lot of it, but, it's beautiful. We like to walk through the park. We like to walk around through the neighborhoods.
This is Mitch, who's walked on North St. Mary's nearly every day over the last 9 years.
Walk sign is on to cross St. Mary's.
But what keeps him coming back isn't the infrastructure.
Yeah, the sidewalks along there are kind of crappy. They're pretty inconsistent.
Now a new project is underway in 5 different phases, tearing up the old sidewalks and putting in the new.
If you want to learn more about the sidewalk project, like when it starts, what parts are under construction, and how much it costs, all you have to do is take your phone and scan this QR code. All the information is right there for you.
This is Troy.
He looks gorgeous. Does he need a lot of walks?
He does, yeah. I mean, he gets one good long walk a day.
Yeah.
Nearby neighbor David Hinojosa says a new sidewalk isn't just good for people, it's good for pups.
How do you feel about them doing all the sidewalk construction and everything? Do you think it's going to make your walks easier?
I think it is a lot, especially down in there. If there is sidewalk, it's mostly broken. There's a lot of glass. It's kind of dirty, so I think it'll be so much better.
But while trying to show you what the roads will look like in the meantime,
going on through here,
a little bumpy, I lost some equipment of my own.
Whoa!
Thankfully, phones are replaceable, just like this sidewalk. Two-way traffic will remain open for businesses, and construction is scheduled to go through the fall.
Well, if you want this project to go faster, you're simply going to have to wait.
Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
Devin can throw my phone under a bus if he wants.
I saw the aftermath of that phone. Not
it was
good.
Ugly?
Not good.
It's not coming back.
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about pools right now. The city of San Antonio officially opens the gates of summer fun. 24 city pools are now open. The pools will be open from now until mid-August. Most locations have extended evening hours until 8. And some pools are open for early morning swims as early as 10 a.m. Don't forget, 7 city splash pads also open from 9 to 9 through October. You can also check out KSAT.com for a complete list of pool locations, hours, and rules. And yes, Devin, don't bring your phone to the pool either.
I was going to say, speaking of phones and pools, so this weekend.
Oh, no.
What did you do?
Yeah, what did you do?
Yeah, so after cleaning up after the kids' swim meet, it was nice and hot and sweaty. Hey, jump in the pool.
Oh. Did you check your pockets?
Nope. And then after a few times of bobbing up and down and swimming across the bottom, I was like, what is in my pocket? It feels a little weird against my leg. Golly. Yeah, we all know how that story ends.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't get my text message.
Probably. I've been off the grid all weekend. It was beautiful. All right. Let's get to some good news here about the recent rainfall, and that's the Aquifer. Check this out. Over the past 25 days, the Aquifer is up nearly 17 feet. Amazing, huh? So that's some good news here. It shows you how quickly the Aquifer can rebound and respond with heavy rainfall in the right location, right over especially the recharge zone. And this is a beautiful sight after the storms last night. This is down in Bigfoot, so just south down I-35, and you see the nice rainbow. A lot of rainbow photos on KSAT Connect. Thanks for posting those along with your rain gauges. Today the action was Corpus Christi to Brownsville, deep South Texas along the National Seashore, and basically cutting off before South Padre Island. And that has since dissipated. What's causing that is this little dip in the upper level flow, this trough. You get energy out ahead of it. So the trough axis from Little Rock down toward Corpus Christi, and there you have most of the upper level support. Otherwise, the Big Blue H, the upper level high, it's starting to nose its way back in, and I think it's going to be enough to keep us dry and sunny, very sunny, the next couple of days, but it doesn't plant itself directly overhead. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's going to move to the East Coast by this weekend and early next week. And with the clockwise flow around it, that steering flow, we could have little ripples and pieces of energy come in the upper levels off the Gulf. And so we're looking at the tropics for any little disturbances that could move in. Even just small little pieces of energy aloft could help kickstart some showers and storms. And that's why we have the 20% chance starting Thursday, lasting through the weekend and into next week. Even at times a 30% chance. But you look at the generalized rainfall potential, and this is just from the most recent computer model run. This is going to change and vary a little bit in the days ahead. But the generalized potential isn't anything like what we saw over the previous week or two. All right, really quickly, Almanac Day 91. Notice that's a little below average. The average high is 93. With all the rain and the saturated soil, we don't warm up quite as much. I mean, this time of year we could easily be talking 100 degrees and triple digits, but we're not. Instead, it's just very, very sticky with temperatures not quite as hot. 86 at 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, we're 81. Midnight, we're at 77. Tomorrow morning, low 70s, and we'll have the low gray clouds, which may look like it could rain, but it's not going to. It's just the typical cloudy morning, sunny afternoon pattern that we have this time of year. Full sunshine by noon, 86 degrees at noon, 93 the high temperature, and a southeasterly wind 10 to 15. For the most part, low to mid 90s. You go off to the west, Uvalde, out toward Del Rio, Quemado, Eagle Pass, triple digits in those locations. But for the most part, especially locally, we're going to be within, plus or minus 1 to 2 degrees of average for this time of year. It's nice talking temperatures that, aren't too hot, relatively speaking.
Yeah, we'll take it. Thanks, Adam.
All right, a local kid is going to be kind of in a new role for the Dallas Cowboys this year, Larry.
Yeah, Terrence Steele entering his 6th season in the NFL, all with the Dallas Cowboys, and he is now the veteran leader on that offensive line. Mary Rominger went one-on-one, and he's got some lofty goals this season. And C.J. Stroud says when it comes to his right throwing shoulder, he's just fine. Coming up.
Pocket mobility, running out the pocket, throwing the rock, everything kind of works hand in hand, so a little bit of everything.
C.J. Stroud says his off-season workout program will benefit him in a lot of ways this season in big board sports. The upcoming NFL season is set up to be a big year for San Antonio native Terrence Steele. For the first time in his career, Steele is the longest tenured players on the Cowboys offensive line, with 3 O-linemen being drafted in the first round over the last 4 years, and Zach Martin retiring this offseason. Everyone is looking up to Steele. Mary Rominger checked in with Steele at minicamp to see how he's feeling entering year 6.
The culture here has always been really, really strong. I would say Coach Schottenheimer has brought it to another level. Just the fact, we're all super competitive now in everything we do. That's what he's pushing for. That's our motto, and you can just see it in everything we do in the team meetings. On the practice field, we're practicing, competing against one another, and it's shown so far, and it's been really cool to see. So.
Do you have any personal experiences with him? Because a lot of the players seem to be sharing one-on-one conversations that they're having. And if so, how has that benefited you and your confidence with this team?
Yeah, no, Coach Shaw has always, instilled confidence in me. Even 2 years ago when he was, just working for quality control, he's always pulling me aside, just kind of reassuring me that everything's going to be good. Just keep working my butt off, and it'll all come forth.
All right, talk about your mentality as you approach this season, coming off of, a solid year where you did have a little bit to prove, and now more young talent keeps coming in.
Yeah, 100%. I want to be the best tackle in the league. And I want to win a championship, and that's just what it is. So I'm working towards that goal every day.
You can hear more from that interview tonight at 7 on KSAT Sports Now. Plus, we're talking former Antonian soccer player Carissa Beckman, the U.S. Open, and much more on KSAT Sports Now, available on KSAT Plus. Quarterback C.J. Stroud not throwing during OTAs is one of the biggest storylines coming out of Houston Texans offseason workouts. He wasn't slinging the ball around due to general shoulder soreness, but last week at mandatory minicamp, he was back and using that right arm that helped him win Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2023. Now here's what Stroud said last week about the Texans letting him take it easy at OTAs.
I'm very, grateful for how they approach the process. I wanted to approach it that way as well. I didn't want to force anything, but also they were listening and trying their best to, accommodate me and what I needed. Our training staff did amazing. I've been working with them every day, sun up, sun down. So just trying to fight to get back to practice. I've been, feeling to come back, but, in due time. And now, I see, I'm able to throw it how I want, wherever I can, and have some accuracy also. So, I'm very grateful that they approach it that way, but, I'm happy to be back. Yeah, I was already throwing, before you guys see me out there pretty normally. I think y'all don't have much to talk about, so everything is blown up in all season, so I'm fine, man. I'm really okay.
The wideout Christian Kirk, who is new to the Texans this season, is impressed with Stroud, saying the 23-year-old runs the offense like a seasoned veteran.
Pretty cool.
All these stories are kind of getting me excited for football season.
Heck yeah. Come soon enough.
Exactly. Thanks, Larry. It's still ahead. The G7 summit began today. We're going to detail the important topics that world leaders are discussing.
Plus, we sat down with Spurs chairman to talk about the new arena being built for that team, what it means for the Spurs. Coming up. So much talk about the proposed downtown sports and entertainment district dubbed Project Marvel. And now for the first time, we are hearing from the Spurs chairman, Peter J. Holt, about that.
Yeah, the project centers around a new Spurs arena. So in his one-on-one with Holt, R.J. Marquez asked him what this project would mean for our city and our Spurs.
Bexar County, I think San Antonio is an amazing, dynamic, diverse, unique, soulful community, and we deserve an urban core that is world class.
Peter J. Holt is all in on San Antonio and hopes the city and county are as well when it comes to the Spurs' future.
What were your initial thoughts on Project Marvel?
Incredibly exciting vision for the city and for the Spurs to be an anchor there with a new arena that is fan first, that is accessible and world class is going to be a game changer.
But how a potential new arena will be paid for is still in question. Some estimates say it will be anywhere from $1.2 to $1.5 billion, a dollar amount similar to other new arenas across the country.
What would be the message that you have for the taxpayers of Bexar County and for the city of San Antonio?
The formula to build the Frost Bank Center and then to keep it world class for the last 25 years has been a mutually beneficial formula where visitors pay a fee when they come and rent a car, stay in a hotel, and that money is dedicated to ensure that we have world-class venues. We're looking to extend that formula, and we need the help of the community. We can't do it alone.
Do you anticipate that we'll see any sort of tax increases from residents of Bexar County or the city of San Antonio outside the venue tax?
The way it's proposed today is absolutely not. That the burden of the taxes and fees will be on visitors coming to Bexar County, and then the other portion of that will come out of the Spurs. We're absolutely ready and willing to do that once the project cost gets developed and completed.
Holt told me that process will happen in the next 30 to 60 days, and everyone will see all the information.
Are there contingency plans for you guys in terms of building a new arena if, for whatever reason, it just does not work out?
This entertainment district, sports entertainment district in the urban core is the absolute priority. We think it makes financial sense. We think it makes community building sense. A world-class arena in the urban core that can be beneficial to all and can increase the economy, that can provide for just numerous uplifts.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
And our sit down with Chairman Peter J. Holt continues tomorrow morning on GMSA, and we find out why the Spurs are ready to move on from the Frost Center and expand regionally while staying true to their San Antonio roots.
The man accused of a deadly shooting spree in Minnesota will face both federal and state murder charges.
Authorities say Vance Belter wounded a state senator and his wife and then killed a Minnesota representative and her husband Saturday morning.
This afternoon was his first appearance in federal court, but as CNN's Ivan Rodriguez reports, this investigation is far from over.
Vance Belter inflicted unimaginable harm to our community Saturday morning, and he did it while impersonating the very people who are trusted to protect and serve.
Investigators say these haunting surveillance images show murder suspect Vance Belter wearing a mask, police-style badge, and tactical vest as he approached the front door of Democratic State Senator John Hoffman early Saturday morning. Belter is accused of shooting and wounding Hoffman and his wife shortly before he shot and killed State Representative Melissa Hartman and her husband. Authorities captured him after a massive, roughly 43-hour manhunt.
Today, the manhunt is over, but the investigation continues, and more importantly, the process to healing begins.
Belter is now in federal custody. State law enforcement turned him over Monday morning to face additional charges.
My expectation based on prior cases is the federal charges will be litigated first, but the state charges won't necessarily go anywhere.
At the scene. While law enforcement is still investigating a motive, they have confirmed the accused gunman had an apparent hit list with dozens of names, including prominent Democrats and figures with ties to Planned Parenthood or the abortion rights movement.
It is a frightening time we are living in. Political violence is prevalent, and the way we talk to and about each other has raised the temperature to unfathomable levels. We cannot continue on this way.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
The Environmental Protection Agency telling some of its staff to stop enforcing violations against oil and gas companies. Multiple sources say the directive was issued verbally to EPA staff overseeing the Midwest, and that its enforcement office has lost a partner in the U.S. Department of Justice's Environmental Division, where buyouts and firings have thinned out staff. EPA insiders saying there's pressure within the agency to ease scrutiny of the fossil fuel industry as part of a deregulation agenda being enacted by EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin by order of President Trump. And President Trump has issued more than 200 executive actions since returning to the White House. That's more than any other president. Judges have blocked dozens of them.
And now the Supreme Court weighing how much power lower court judges have to block the president's policies for the entire country. In May, justices heard arguments about nationwide injunctions, which allow a single judge to block a policy for the entire country. The decision could help define the extent of Trump's executive authority, and it will have enormous implications for President Trump's entire agenda.
The president has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement to step up deportation efforts in major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago. In a social media post, the president told ICE officers to use their authority to increase the number of undocumented immigrants detained every day. The White House set a target of 3,000 daily immigration-related arrests. Internal documents reveal that fewer than 10% of immigrants booked into ICE custody since October are the violent criminals the Trump administration promised to focus on.
Happening right now, the G7 summit taking place in Canada. World leaders, including President Trump, gathering just days after Israel's unprecedented strikes on Iran.
It's also happening against the backdrop of the ongoing war in Ukraine and tensions over trade. CNN's Julia Benbrook tells us about some of the summit's top agenda items.
The G7 summit is the first international summit of President Donald Trump's second administration, giving us a glimpse at how he plans to handle these relationships over the next several years. The leaders are gathering in Canada to discuss critical global issues.
This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership.
Looming over the meetings, Israel's unprecedented strikes on Iran and the spiraling conflict. According to officials from multiple delegations, Trump's counterparts plan to press him on his strategy as they call for a de-escalation of hostilities. The leaders are also welcoming Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for talks this week. Ukrainian officials are hoping a positive interaction with Trump could advance Kyiv's case as European leaders push for stronger sanctions against Russia. Also top of mind, trade tensions.
We're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people.
The U.S. president has set a deadline that is less than a month away now for dozens of countries, including several present at the meeting, to come to trade agreements or potentially see sweeping tariffs go into effect. During Trump's first term, the G7 summits were often colored by disagreements between the U.S. president and his fellow leaders, and at times he questioned if his attendance was truly necessary. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Texas heat ramping up and SeaWorld doing its part to help you keep cool. More about their new hours up next.
SeaWorld is opening 2.5 hours earlier to help visitors beat the summer heat. So with these new early rise hours, the park will open and operate beginning at 8 a.m. That's starting this Saturday, June 21st, and select Saturdays after that. It comes with access to exhibits, roller coasters, and exclusive access to the new Rescue Junior area before it gets too hot to enjoy the day.
You know, that actually makes sense.
I like it.
Early morning, get in.
Early riser myself.
Yeah.
Because it's hot.
And we typically have that low overcast through about 9-10 a.m. in the morning, which is nice, and that's helpful as well, rather than having the blazing sun beating down on you. And we're going to have that the next several days. The typical trend of the low clouds early kind of gives you false hope for some rain, and then nothing, just sunshine into the afternoon. High temperatures, low to mid 90s going forward, which is actually pretty close to average for this time of year. The average high is 93. We're going to be anywhere from 92 to 95 in the days ahead. Heat index, though, anywhere from 100 to 105. That's the caveat. Very high humidity from the recent rainfall. Saturated soil evaporates that moisture in the air and stays muggy all day. Rain, some small chances Thursday into the weekend and even next week. We'll get to that, a shift in our weather pattern, as well as area lake levels and even some stream flows to talk about, and some stats regarding our rainfall so far in just a bit.
With all the rain that we have had, it's nice to see it kind of add up to a specific number, Adam. How much has actually fallen?
Yes.
Yeah, and the aquifer level.
Yeah,
also a number that's been good to see.
I mean, in the past 25 days, it's up almost 17 feet. Wow. I mean, that's a huge jump, and that's good to see. Now, it's going to take some time for the area lakes and reservoirs to really fill up. It's going to take more rain in the right spots, and we still need to fill up the aquifers more and saturate the ground in those watersheds to really make a big dent in the lakes. But let's get to the latest for year-to-date rainfall. We've had almost 19 inches of rain, and we are 4.41 inches above average. So that's from January 1 through today. When you compare it to average, we're about 4.5 inches up. Now, for that time span, the year to date, from the start of the year until June 16th, this is the most amount of rain we've had in that time frame since 2016, when we had 24.2 inches of rain. So almost 18.93. The best we've done in about a decade, almost a decade. All right, reservoir levels, Canyon, 47% full, 31 feet below the conservation pool. It's up 1.1 feet over the past 2 weeks. Medina, 2.5% full. That's way down, of course, 93 feet below the conservation pool, and it's up 1.8 feet over the past 2 weeks. Again, it's going to take more of this to really fill those up. And honestly, one thing that makes the biggest difference is a tropical system. You know, remnants of a tropical storm or hurricane that can sit overhead for a few days are what those reservoirs could really use right now. Guadalupe, it's good to see it flowing. I mean, and keep in mind the average is a little misleading because the average is significantly skewed by a few major flood events. So, for example, the Guadalupe at Spring Branch, flowing at 138 cubic feet per second. The average is 548. Again, that's inflated because of a few major flood events, but the median flow for today is pretty close to what it is, so the current flow rate. Showers and storms today were Corpus Christi down to Brownsville along the National Seashore and even offshore. A little dip in the upper level flow at the trough axis stretching all the way down into the valley. Now the upper level high, it's nosing its way in a little bit, but it's not going to sit directly overhead. It actually moves its way around us gradually over the next several days. And by this weekend, and especially Monday, it's set up over the east coast of the U.S. And with the clockwise steering flow around it, that'll give us the wind coming off the Gulf and any disturbances aloft that could come our way, or even little ripples of tropical energy giving us a little lift to generate showers and storms. But really, it's just a 20 to 30% chance starting Thursday through the weekend and even into the early part of next week. But for June standards and the fact that we still need to fill up the aquifer and fill up the area reservoirs, it's nice to have even a few rain chances that could at least give us another little boost to the aquifer, but hopefully no flooding. That is the last thing we want. And luckily, this doesn't look like the type of pattern that would lead to any flooding. 91 right now, feels like 95, of course, you can factor in the humidity. 86 at 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, we're 81. Midnight at 77. And tomorrow morning, we start the day at 72. Then by noon, we're 86 and 93 for the high. A nice southeasterly breeze, the usual breeze, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Typical low gray clouds to start the day early at sunrise, and then getting sunny pretty quickly by 10 a.m. or so. Vast sunshine. And notice tomorrow we'll be back into the triple digits in the typically warmer spots. Uvalde 100, Del Rio 103, Carrizo Springs 102, Cotulla, Dilley at 102. But by and large, especially around Bexar County and surrounding communities, we're going to be within a degree or two of the average high temperature. Average high is 93, and we're anywhere from 92 to 95. And we all know we could be tallying up the triple digits, and we're not. And this proves, remember back in early May when we were hitting 100s? Everybody said, what does that mean for the summer? Nothing. Means nothing. And so far, we've seen that trend.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Adam. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on ABC Prime Time. Starting at 7, the NBA countdown. Then at 7:30, Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Indiana Pacers, followed by the Nightbeat after the game. All right, we've had barking in the newsroom. We've had meowing in the newsroom. What will it be tonight on KSAT Sports Now? Starts at 7 o'clock, Larry.
We don't have barking or meowing tonight, but we ought to just insert it into the show anyway, right? Because there we go. There's one cat, and there's a second one. So, hey, we have a lot to talk about, including the Dallas Cowboys and right tackle Terrence Steele from Steele High School. He's entering his 6th year in the NFL. He is now the leader on that offensive line, the veteran that all those rookies are going to be looking up to. We're also talking the Houston Texans and Danielle Hunter. He had a great first season last year with the Texans, so they signed him to a pretty big contract extension because he put up some pretty good stats. And y'all remember Carissa Beckman? Really good soccer player from Antonian High School. Well, now she's playing professional soccer, so we're going to talk with her. Nick Mantis Zoomed with her recently, went one-on-one, and she talks about being a pro and about adulting. Andrew, you know all about adulting, right? Yeah. All right, KSAT Sports Now. It's coming up at 7 o'clock on KSAT Plus. We'll be right back after the break.
Hypersonic testing is in really high demand right now from a lot of different places in the government.
Hypersonic testing. UTSA involved in some pretty cool stuff, including designing materials that can withstand the speed of sound. Justin Horn shows us how the university is taking part in this hypersonic challenge and what they hope to be a part of in the future. That's tomorrow on GMSA.
So cool. I just love that hypersonic testing is really in demand right now.
Yeah,
that's great.
Is cool.
Look at this, great shots of the rainbows last night after the rain, and luckily it wasn't flooding rain other than usual lower levels of interstates, but otherwise it was good rain.
That's a cool picture. Thanks for watching. We'll see you after the game for the Nightbeat.